Today I just wanted to take a look at The Big White. It is a 2002 film starring Robin Williams and Giovanni Ribisi as well as Holly Hunter. This is definitely a dark comedy. You can definitely see a lot more of the comedic elements in the film. And it's very interesting to me because Robin Williams is playing a man called Paul Barnell who is having a lot of financial stress. At this point in the film, his brother has actually been missing, I believe, for 5 years and has an insurance policy in his name. So Paul Barnell is trying to cash in the policy, which is for $1 million, in order to relieve the stress. Unfortunately, because the film takes place in Alaska, if I remember correctly, in order for a person to be legally declared dead, they have to be missing for 7 years. So, as fortune would have it, Paul runs across a frozen corpse in a dumpster, returns later that evening to fish it out, and passes the body off as his deceased brother, which I think is kind of ironic because, to my understanding, most businesses have their dumpsters cleared out once a day. Generally, they don't take once a week, but I guess it just kind of depends on the area or what type of service they're paying for. But it just strikes me as odd that he returned later that evening. The body was still there. It hadn't been discovered by anyone else, and it wasn't buried in new trash. So reluctantly, the insurance agent, Ted Waters, who is played by Giovanni Ribisi, is very closely studying the case. He feels that the sudden appearance of this body is obviously fraud, and he's determined to prove that in order to avoid paying the $1 million policy to Mr. Barnell. In the middle of all of this madness, we do have Raymond Barnell reappear, which is played by Woody Harrelson, the estranged brother. So it's a very funny turn of events because he's trying to get this money, he's trying to pull one over on the insurance company. His brother shows up, wants a piece of the money, and the the people who had discarded the body actually want it back because they need proof that they killed said person. Obviously it's a mafia type situation, so he's being pursued by the insurance company, the mafia, and his brother. So it's a very funny turn of events here. We also, strangely enough, have Holly Hunter, who is playing Paul Barnell's wife, who has been diagnosed with Tourette's syndrome, which seems odd because she doesn't seem to display a lot of the classic symptoms. One of the mafia men who later takes her hostage also makes note of this, and he just constantly teases or prods at her that she's faking. But it's a very cute relationship between Margaret and Paul Barnell. They obviously love and care about each other very much, and once his wife is abducted, he's willing to go through a lot of trouble, obviously, to save and get her back. We also discover that Raymond Barnell went missing because he deliberately chose to. He did not want to be found. And the only reason he's reappeared is because he found out through local news that he has been declared dead. He's obviously not happy about the fact that his brother's passing him off as a deceased, but he also wants a cut of his own money, which makes sense. It's rightfully his to begin with. But definitely a very funny turn of events throughout the film. The film can definitely be very dark at times, but some situations really do feel like a situational comedy type as well, which is just kind of hard to just break down and define everything. But a lot of the banter between Mrs. Barnell and the two mafiosos that are holding her up is actually kind of funny. She openly refers to them as a gay couple, which they're not exactly out about it, but it's not exactly a secret either. But one of the men, which also happens to be a very good cook, he also happens to really enjoy analyzing Mrs. Barnell. And you also have the kinder gentleman, which, even though she's tied up, he'll spoon feed her, he'll clean off her mouth, he'll put a straw in her wine so she can drink comfortably. So we definitely have a very interesting mix of character types as well as actors playing roles within the film, which everything is played extremely well. To my knowledge, this is the first time when Robin Williams played in a film which was set in Alaska. The second, of course, being Insomnia. But I think that's the only time he's actually played a role set in the same state twice. I may be wrong, but you know, it's definitely very interesting that he managed to hit Alaska twice, especially when not too many films are set in the state of Alaska. So very interesting. Of course, in order to prepare for this role, Holly Hunter did sit through a seminar, a 2-day seminar on Tourette syndrome. She disguised herself wearing a hat and sunglasses, I believe. She just didn't want to be recognized by the people around her, which makes sense. She was there doing research. She didn't want people asking for photos or autographs. She was just wanting to prepare for this film role. And her character definitely does do a lot of kooky things in addition to just things that she says. The film actually opens up with her just running in the snow, and just as she passes state line, she passes out, and her husband is later called to collect her. They say that it's happened again. So apparently this is a regular thing with Margaret Barnell's character. She just does kooky things. Oddly enough, James Woods turned down the role of Raymond Barnell, which ultimately did go to Woody Harrelson, which he played the wild, off-the-wall character extremely well, but it just seems odd that James Wood would have been offered the role. He always struck me as more of a serious type actor. It's definitely interesting just seeing the process of who's considered, who turns down film roles, and ultimately who does get the part, which I think for this film everyone was cast extremely well. Another actor who turned down the chance to appear in this film was Meg Ryan. She had originally been approached for the role of Margaret Barnell, which apparently went to Holly Hunter, and I don't know if I can see Meg Ryan in this. She's definitely has kind of that whole sweet girl next door type thing, but I don't know. Holly Hunter, she can definitely hold her own, and she's not afraid to try different things, whereas Meg Ryan kind of seems to have shoeboxed herself. She doesn't really seem to have picked up roles over her time as an actress which showed or displayed variety. So I don't know, I never really saw much diversity from her as an actress. Not that I'm saying she's a bad actor. Some people just choose to stay within a comfort zone, but overall a very good film, and it really does have just a lot of strange and funny situations which you really do have to see in order to get a feel for the film. But that is all I have for you guys today, and I will talk to you later.